In the year 1634, in a quiet town in France, something happened that would terrify an entire nation. Not in a battlefield, not in a dark forest, but inside a convent, a place meant for prayer, for purity, for silence. Instead, it became a stage for screams, blasphemy, and something inhuman. They were nuns, women devoted to God, until they began to speak in voices that were not their own. If you enjoy stories like this, support the channel. Subscribe now, so the next story doesn't pass you by. In Western Loudun, life was simple, a small, deeply religious town where faith governed everything. At the heart of it stood the convent of the Ursuline nuns, quiet, disciplined, closed off from the world. But behind those walls, something was beginning to stir, something unseen, something waiting. At the center of the story was a man, Urbain Grandier, a charismatic priest, intelligent, charming, and controversial. Grandier had enemies, powerful ones. He challenged authority, spoke boldly, and was rumored to have relationships forbidden for a man of his position. To some he was a sinner, to others a threat, and soon he would become the perfect scapegoat. It began with the Mother Superior, Jeanne des Anges. She reported seeing visions, a dark figure approaching her at night. At first, she believed it was a dream, until it spoke. Then other nuns began experiencing the same strange dreams, disturbing thoughts, a presence in their rooms, watching, breathing, waiting. Soon, the behavior changed. Uncontrollable laughter, sudden screaming, convulsions, bodies twisting in unnatural ways, and voices speaking in languages they had never learned. The convent descended into chaos. Nuns crawling on the floor, climbing walls, shrieking obscenities during prayer. Some claimed to be possessed by demons. They named them, dozens of them, each with a voice, each with a purpose. And every single one accused the same man, Grandier. They said he had made a pact with the devil, that he had sent these demons to corrupt them, to destroy the convent. The church responded swiftly. Exorcisms began, public ones. Crowds gathered to watch. Priests shouted prayers as the nuns screamed back in demonic voices. Their bodies contorted violently. Some levitated, others laughed at the holy words meant to save them. One witness wrote they mocked God with smiles that were not human. The more the priests tried, the worse it became. It was no longer a private horror, it was a spectacle, a nightmare on display. All evidence and attention turned toward one man, Grandier. He denied everything, maintained his innocence, but it did not matter. Documents appeared allegedly signed by him, a pact with demons, names written in blood, symbols that no one could fully understand. Whether they were real or fabricated, no one questioned it, because fear had already decided the truth. The trial was swift, unfair, brutal. Grandier was tortured, forced to confess, but even under unbearable pain, he refused. He claimed he was innocent to the very end. But the decision had already been made. He was guilty, not just of witchcraft, but of unleashing hell inside the convent. In 1634, Grandier was burned alive in front of a crowd, a warning, a punishment, a sacrifice. As the flames consumed him, some claimed he remained calm, others said he cursed them. But the most terrifying part came after, because the possessions did not stop. Even after Grandier's death, the nuns continued, screaming, convulsing, speaking in voices that were not theirs. If he was the cause, why did it not end? Some began to question, was he truly guilty? Or was something else at work, something that did not need him at all? Historians still debate the truth. Mass hysteria, religious manipulation, political conspiracy, or something darker, something real. Because the accounts, the witnesses, the recordings all describe the same thing. Not madness, not performance, but presence. Something inside them, watching, speaking, controlling. They tried to destroy it. They burned the man. They prayed. They screamed. They begged. But whatever was inside those walls did not leave, because some things do not need permission. They do not need belief. They just need an opening. And once they find it, they never let go. There are places in history where faith was meant to save people, but instead, it destroyed them. In the 1600s, in a quiet German city, fear spread like fire. Accusations turned neighbors into enemies, and belief turned into something far darker. They burned witches, hundreds of them, but some say not all of them died. Some stayed, and among them was a nun. During the height of the Würzburg witch trials, Würzburg became a place of terror. Anyone could be accused, anyone could be taken, men, women, children, even those devoted to God. The church demanded purity, and anything even slightly different was seen as corruption. Whispers were enough, fear did the rest. Among the religious orders, there was one nun, Sister Adelina, known for her kindness, her devotion, but also her questions. She did not understand the trials, did not believe the accusations. She spoke softly, but what she said was dangerous. She questioned the church, and in a time like that, questions were seen as defiance. It did not take long. One night, officials arrived. They took her, no explanation, no evidence, only accusations. They said she had been seen speaking alone, praying differently, looking at people as if she knew something. And that was enough. She was imprisoned, awaiting trial. Like many others, she was tortured, forced to confess. They demanded she admit to witchcraft, to consorting with demons. At first, she refused, but pain breaks even the strongest. Eventually, she spoke, but what she said was not what they expected. She did not confess to being a witch. She said there is something here, something in the city, something watching, something feeding on fear. They did not listen. She was sentenced, burned at the stake, like so many others. As the flames rose, witnesses claimed she did not scream, did not beg. She simply looked at the crowd and smiled, not in peace, but in something else. Something unsettling. And just before the fire consumed her, she said, "It will not end with me." After her death, strange things began happening. People reported seeing a figure near the execution site, a nun standing in the distance, watching. At first it was dismissed, grief, guilt, imagination. But then more sightings came. Different locations, same figure, same presence. Homes near the site experienced disturbances, objects moving, voices at night, footsteps in empty rooms. And sometimes people woke up to find her standing at the foot of their bed, silent, still, watching. Some began to believe she was not a victim, not entirely, that something had been with her, something ancient, something that had used the fear, the chaos, the suffering to manifest. And when she died, it did not disappear. It stayed, taking her form, using her image to continue. Even today, visitors to Würzburg report sightings, a nun in old clothing standing near historical sites, watching. Some try to approach, but she disappears. Others take photos, and later see something in the background, something that was not there before. History remembers the trials as tragedy, as madness, as fear. But some believe it was something else, something that needed it, something that fed on it. And maybe it is still there, watching, waiting for fear to return. Hospitals are places where life begins and where it ends, but sometimes something refuses to leave. Not a patient, not a memory, something else. In one abandoned hospital, staff reported seeing a figure, a nun, silent, still, watching. At first, they thought she was a visitor, then a nurse. But when they checked the records, they found something disturbing. She had been dead for over 30 years. On the outskirts of a quiet city stood an old medical facility, partially operational, partially abandoned. One wing was completely sealed off, Ward C. No patients, no staff, no electricity. Officially, it was closed due to structural damage. Unofficially, people avoided it because of what they saw. Security guards reported movement inside, lights flickering in a place with no power, doors opening where no one had entered, and always the same description. A nun dressed in white, face pale, eyes empty. It started with a nurse, night shift, alone. She was walking past the corridor leading to Ward C when she heard something, soft footsteps, slow, dragging. She stopped, listened, silence. Then a voice, faint, whispering, "Help me!" She turned toward the sealed doors, and that is when she saw it. A figure standing behind the glass. A nun staring directly at her, not moving, not blinking, just watching. Decades earlier, the hospital was run by a religious order. Nuns served as nurses, caregivers, caretakers of the dying. Among them was one known for her devotion, Sister Maria. She worked in Ward C, the isolation ward, where the sickest patients were kept, the ones who did not survive. But something changed. Patients began dying faster, unexplained complications, strange symptoms. Whispers began about Sister Maria. Some said she was experimenting, others believed she was trying to save souls in her own way. Then one night, a fire broke out in Ward C. But when they investigated, there was no clear cause, and Sister Maria was found inside, dead, alone, surrounded by bodies. After her death, staff began noticing strange things. Patients claiming someone visited them at night, a nun checking on them, touching them, but not speaking. Some patients improved, others died shortly after. Doctors dismissed it as hallucinations, stress, fear, until staff started seeing her too, in reflections at the end of hallways, standing beside beds, watching. A pattern emerged. Every time she was seen, someone died, not immediately, but soon after, as if she was choosing, watching, waiting. One doctor tried to investigate. He reviewed security footage, hours of recordings. At first, nothing. Then, frame by frame, he saw it. A figure moving between rooms, appearing, disappearing, not walking, gliding, and always stopping at certain doors. Eventually, Ward C was shut down. Permanently, no explanation given. Patients relocated, records sealed. But even after closure, the sightings continued. Now she was not confined. She moved through other wards, other floors, as if the building itself could not contain her anymore. A security guard, on his last shift, decided to check Ward C against orders. He unlocked the door, stepped inside. Dust filled the air, everything abandoned, frozen in time. Then he heard it, footsteps behind him. He turned and saw her, closer than anyone had ever reported. Her face burned, decayed, eyes hollow, but aware, watching him, smiling. Was Sister Maria trying to help, or was she something else entirely? Some believe she never healed, she harvested, collected, prepared. Others think something attached to her, something that used her, and when she died, it stayed, waiting for more. If you ever find yourself in a hospital late at night and you see a nun watching you, do not assume she is there to help, because some do not save lives. They end them. There are things we fear because we can see them, and then there are things we fear because we cannot. In the silence of forgotten places, in the shadows of abandoned halls, there are stories of a nun with no face, no eyes to see you, no mouth to speak, and yet it always knows exactly where you are. They say if you see her once, you will not be able to forget her. And if you see her twice, she will not let you leave. High above a remote valley, far from the noise of cities, stood an old monastery, abandoned, isolated, forgotten by time. Locals avoided it, not because of its history, but because of what people claimed still lived there. The building had once belonged to a strict religious order, a place of silence, discipline, and absolute obedience. No one spoke of what happened inside, but everyone agreed on one thing. The monastery did not become empty on its own. Something drove them out. The nuns who lived there followed a rule. They were never to speak after sunset. No whispers, no prayers allowed. Only silence, complete silence. At first, it was a spiritual discipline, a way to connect with God. But over time, the rule became something else, something strict, something enforced. Punishments were severe. Those who broke the silence were isolated, locked away, sometimes for days, sometimes longer. And slowly, the atmosphere inside the monastery began to change. Silence stopped feeling peaceful and started feeling heavy, oppressive, as if something was listening. The first nun disappeared during the night. No sound, no struggle, no trace. Her bed was untouched, her door still locked from the inside. The others were told she had left, but they knew that was not possible. No one left the monastery, not without permission, and permission was never given. Then, another disappeared, and another, each time the same pattern. No noise, no signs, just gone. The sightings began shortly after, at first only in the corners of vision, a figure standing at the end of the hallway, watching, unmoving, then vanishing. But one night, a young novice saw it clearly, standing in the chapel under candlelight, a nun dressed like the others, still, silent. But when she looked closer, she realized something was wrong. The face was missing. No eyes, no nose, no mouth, just smooth, pale skin, like something had been erased. The novice tried to run, but the figure moved, not walking, not running, gliding silently. And somehow it always faced her, even when she turned away, even when she closed her eyes. It knew. It always knew. She collapsed, unconscious, and when she woke up, she could not speak, not because she was forbidden, but because she could not remember how. Years later, when the monastery was finally abandoned, explorers entered, curious, unaware. They searched the building room by room until they found it, a hidden door leading underground. Beneath the monastery, there was a chamber, small, confined, with walls covered in scratches and symbols. In the center, a chair, strapped, and beside it, old records, documents detailing punishments, experiments, attempts to remove identity, to erase individuality, to create perfect silence. And among the names listed, one stood out. The last entry, no name, just a description. Subject has no face. The legend says the faceless nun was not a ghost, not originally. She was created, broken, transformed. And when the monastery fell, she did not leave. She multiplied. Some visitors claimed they saw more than one, standing together in silence, watching, waiting. In recent years, urban explorers have tried to document the monastery. Cameras, flashlights, recording everything. Most leave quickly because something happens. Equipment fails, audio distorts, and sometimes they capture something. A figure standing behind them, closer than it should be. And in some recordings, you can hear it, not speaking, but breathing. If you ever find yourself in a place where silence feels wrong, where the air feels heavy, and you think you are being watched, do not turn around. Because if you see her, you will understand something too late. You do not need eyes to be seen.